Allora, benvenuti a tutti, siamo all'AEAround the World, che è l'evento organizzato da AEA per mettere in contatto gli studenti che hanno già avuto esperienze all'estero con studenti che sono interessati e magari vogliono avere qualche informazione in più direttamente da ragazzi che hanno già vissuto l'esperienza e dello stesso corso di studi, ecco. Ci sono ragazzi che hanno frequentato tutti i programmi di mobilità internazionale, quindi sia la doppia laurea, sia l'Erasmus, sia la tesi all'estero. E l'evento è organizzato appunto da AEA, che se non lo sapeste, ma se siete qui spero lo sappiate tutti, è l'Associazione degli Ingegneri di Automazione. In realtà il nome è un po' fuorviante perché all'interno dell'associazione ci sono ingegneri di tutta la scuola 3I, abbiamo diversi progetti in corso, organizziamo eventi sia al Politecnico sia con le aziende, visite all'esterno, viaggi, ci sono diversi progetti con i recruiting che hanno aperto all'inizio dello scorso semestre e dovrebbero riaprire all'inizio del prossimo. In generale, se avete domande o volete informazioni anche sull'associazione, potete chiedere a noi, ai ragazzi che presentano oggi o comunque a me o chi c'è in chiamata e sul sito, altrimenti trovate tutte le varie informazioni sia per associarvi sia su cosa facciamo. Direi quindi che possiamo iniziare l'evento, ci saranno tutte le presentazioni dei ragazzi che vi spiegheranno un po' la loro esperienza e vi racconteranno insomma le cose principali. Poi ci sarà l'intervento di Giampaolo Incremona che insieme al professor Matteo Corno sono i due professori che compongono la Commissione della Mobilità Internazionale del Consiglio del Corso di Studi di Automazione e i loro contatti li potete trovare sul sito del corso di studi e anche lui farà il suo intervento e successivamente avremo il question time, quindi tutte le domande verranno fatte alla fine. Se ve ne vengono in mente durante la presentazione non c'è nessun problema, le scrivete in chat, in generale ecco le domande è meglio se le facciamo tutte tramite la chat e poi le poniamo ai vari ragazzi appunto nella parte finale. Se non ci sono altre domande, direi che possiamo pure iniziare. Il primo sarà Pietro Dardano, che ha fatto l'Erasmus in Spagna, a Madrid, e ora ci parlerà della sua esperienza.
Ciao a tutti, si vede la presentazione?
Sì, vai pure.
Sì. Ok. Va bene. Allora, grazie per l'invito. Come ha anticipato Giovanni, ho fatto l'anno scorso, quindi primo semestre dell'anno accademico 2022-2023, ho effettuato l'Erasmus a Madrid, in particolare all'Università Politecnica di Madrid. Allora, vabbè, sono un'immagine che è andata fuori. Pace. Innanzitutto,
Ok,
Madrid.
scusa Pietro se ti interrompo subito, è arrivata la richiesta di fare l'evento di parlare in inglese. So from now we will do the event in English, and so the presentation will be in English, and also the question I ask you to write in English in the chat, and so everybody can understand. Thanks.
Okay, no problem at all. So, as you know, Madrid is the capital of the Spain, plus of 3.5 million of people, many places, many plazas, museums, parks, a lot to enjoy. As you can see, these are some quick snapshot of the city, and also, as you know, the Casa de Papel, La Casa di Carta, was filmed in Madrid, so there are also many places that around the city you can go to see that were filmed in that series. So also, as in Erasmus, you will have a lot of opportunity to travel all around your state, the nation you are in. So Madrid is in the perfect middle of the Spain and is really well connected, mainly by train with the other main cities. So as you can see, I traveled also with the ESN, the Erasmus Student Network Association in Madrid, of my university. I went to Sevilla, to Valencia, to Salamanca, Toledo, and so on. No problem if you go alone, for sure you will meet some friends, some people, and enjoy a lot the time. As regard to the university, the school was placed near the stadium, so in the north part of Madrid, and it was the ETSI, Istituto Tecnico Superiore de Ingegneria Industrial. There, for us, there is the Centro de Automática y Robótica, and there is also another association like us that is doing something in the field of robotics. So they had this workshop on robotic arms like us and many other occasions. In the learning agreement, I reported down in the photo the courses that I have attended. The only thing in particular is the last one, the perspective of dynamics of mechanical systems. The second course, the one of 3 credits, is not usually is not allowed for Erasmus students. By the way, if you send many emails and you are very impressed into the secretary, they will allow you to follow that course. So it's a good thing. And well, apart from studying, of course, Erasmus is everything. There is a lot of more. You will for sure again enjoy many times with friends, with new people, with many international students. Eat a lot of food and party a lot, and in particular Madrid, it's quite full of disco, quite full of restaurants, of many places, many attractions. So summarizing, there are many pros. It's the capital, so there are many services. The transportation, and the mobility is really easy, much better in my opinion than Milan. And the monthly cost is about 10 euro, so really cheap. And for example, you have 12 metro lines, so it's really well connected. Again, there are lots of pubs, bars, disco, but again also museum, parks, and so on. In my opinion, is more secure than Milan, in particular respect to these last days. Milan is going a bit unsecure. They mainly talk about in Spanish, so English is not so common. By the way, for Italian students, it's really easy to talk, to learn and talk Spanish. And also the food for us Italian is one of the most important things. In Spain, it's basically the same. So yeah. Against the website of the university is not so well organized, so it's a bit chaotic. Another drawback is that you have only one try to do the exams in January, but instead for the second semester you have two tries, one in June and one in July. So the second one is a bit better. Again, the English is not so spoken, and be aware about I don't know how to say in English, truffe, to scam about housing, because it's quite diffused. And about costs in general, it's a house, a room in the center of Madrid is like a private room in the Città Studi of Milan, so about 600-700. Instead, in the more residential neighborhoods, it's a bit cheaper. So for if you have any question, you can write to me an email, find me on Instagram, or from AEA, they will for sure give you my contacts. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Pietro. And now there is Francesco Forestieri that was in Erasmus in Norvegia, in Trondheim, I think. I don't know the exact pronunciation of the city. So, Francesco.
Okay. Everyone can hear me? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So today I will talk about my Erasmus in Trondheim in Norway, and I want to show you a picture of the map. So Trondheim is here in the middle of Norway, and it is a very very good city also because it is little. It is not big as Milan, but you can go to Oslo on Lofoten Island, Tromsø, lots of different places that you can visit. Here I taken some picture about the iconical houses on the on the sea, and here is the cathedral. Then I taken some picture about my experience. Like in the first days, we have done the bath in the Norwegian Sea. It was very cold, but it is okay. You can stay in the water for some minutes, but it was very, very nice when you go out to the water. Then we saw many times the northern lights. The first times are not so good, just some lights, but then in October, November are much better. And one thing that I didn't care about before going to Norway is that if you see the sky, you cannot see the northern lights. You have to use your smartphone and then take a picture of the sky. In this way, you can see the northern lights. Norway is very good place if you like the nature, hiking. The hiking is the best word to group lots of places that you can go. For example, here I have taken the picture of the Storfrosen waterfall, and then I have taken also a video from a DJI drone. We have done also a travel in a frozen lake and so on. Okay. Other picture with friends that I know there. Before leaving, I know no one, and there I know lots of people, lots of Italians, unfortunately, but also lots of Norwegian and Mexican guys. I want to show some organizations there that are very nice because in Norway, lots of the things are very expensive, but there are lots of organizations where you can bring stuff, for example, the NTNU, you can bring some stuff about sports for free. And if you want to go skiing or some activity, you can bring for free there. Then I put here some videos about our hiking. It is a very beautiful landscapes, nature. It is very nice. Then other picture, and here this is the university. Here there is the main building of the Glossarian campus, and here I have taken some picture about the first days where there is the ceremony, the starting ceremony. Lots of people that sing, and groups like the association that do cars or drones or something more. Here there is a map where there is lots of campuses of NTNU University for lots of people that study engineering. All the lectures are in Glosshaugen. Instead, the building for the exams are in Sluppen and Dragvoll. Sluppen for the online exams and Dragvoll for the paper-based exams. Then I've taken some picture about the different rooms that I were. The first two are lecture rooms, and I've taken this picture of the robotic arm just to say that some lecture there they are more practical, because you see that the professor explain the arguments like the motion of robots, and with Python he show us the coordinates of the reference system and so on. It is a very different approach, the university, because you have very few hours of lesson, lots of assignment during the week, and the exams are very long, 4 hours for each exam. And one of the strange things that during the exam there isn't the professor that you can ask for some doubts or something more, and there are only lots of all the volunteers that are around the tables to control you that you are not cheating. Then I've just prepared a slide to say what courses I have attended, and here this is the scale of the points of each exam. The exams are graded in 100 points, and these are the range of each letter. Here is the scale of the conversion of the grades from NTNU from Norway to Polimi. Then at the end, I want to spend some minutes about the housing. I lived in Molt. Molt is a student village where there are lots of houses. The main one are in Hermankrax, Molt Halle, and Almening. These are different types of housing. The first one is a room with a shared bathroom and shared kitchen. So you are 4 people. Also in Molt Halle. Instead, the Molt Almening is 15 people. Each one have his private room, private bathroom, and the shared kitchen with 15 people. Then one of the last things that I want to say is about the Lofted, because it is a very good place when you want to chill after a very heavy study day, where there is free coffee, free tea, lots of chairs. In the picture there is not the ping pong or foosball, but there are lots of activity. For example, every Sunday there is the film day, and during the evening there is the seat, that is the organization that organize lots of activity, and also the housing, and organize the film day. Then one of the last things are I want to show the Restore. There is another organization like NTNU, where you can bring stuff for free for your home. When you arrive and you don't have nothing, you can go to Restore and bring whatever you want. Then for everything else there is IKEA, and we went the first days when we need, in my case not, but there are some people that in their rooms there is not the mattress, so they have to buy it. And the last one is the Volvo student village, I just put in the slide this picture because I lived in Moholt, but I want to show you that there is also this opportunity, and in Moholt you don't have to do nothing. There is a code that you receive from university, from SIT. Instead, in Vol is private, so you have to send the email to send a request to live in Vol. It is very difficult to enter inside the Vol, but if you can receive the code from SIT, it is much more better because the fee are much lower. In my case, my room is about 400 euros. So it is much more cheaper than Milan. Vol are a little bit more, but not expensive as Milan. I also take the picture of the map of the city to show that the transports are very good because all the main building, for example, Vol, Molt, and NTNU are on the same bus line, so everyone take the number 3, and we can go to the university, but also in the centrum. Then I finished. So here is my contact, or you can ask the other guy in the association to. If you have some question, you can do me. You can contact me. Thanks a lot.
Okay, perfect. Thanks, Francesco. And now there is Guido Sassaroli that was on Erasmus in Spain, in Sevilla, and did his thesis abroad in Germany, in Munich.
Hi, hello everybody. Thank you for the introduction. Can you see my screen? Yes, I think so. My name is Guido Sassaroli. I did an Erasmus in Sevilla in 2021 and 2022. I spent 6 months from September to February at the Escuela Técnica Superior de Ingeniería. I just want to do a brief introduction about the university and to underline the main differences between Italian and Spanish university. The classes are really small. I mean, there are more or less 30-35 students, and the structure is more similar to our high school style. So there are small classes that do go out together, they do dinner together, and it's quite different from from Politecnico and our big rooms with a lot of students. The lessons are more focused on the practice with respect to the theory. There are continuous evaluation during the whole semester, like a weekly assessment, and the so-called practicas that are laboratories where you have to do some exercises, more practical exercises. Like, for example, here there is a picture of the control de programazione robots, where we had to program a robot physically, and we have to do some assessment, and we at the end of the semester, and I mean during the weekly assessment, the weekly evaluation, we are evaluated, and at the end of the semester we have a final. We did a final presentation presenting the project. I will talk also a little bit about Sevilla. That is really, it is a not so big city in Andalusia, in the south of Spain. I mean, the main advantages of Sevilla, I think, is the weather. It is there is always a good weather during the whole year. It is hot, and it is possible to go outside also in winter. And there are a lot of Erasmus activities. In Sevilla, there are mainly 2 different associations. The first one is Erasmus Student Network, ESN, that is present in all the main cities in Europe. And the second one is Erasmus Student Club. And it is an association that I think is present only in Sevilla and in some other cities in Spain. And they organize parties, trips, and events for the Erasmus student. It is quite easy to reach other places in Andalusia. That is a really beautiful region in the south of Spain. There are a lot of big cities and wonderful cities like Granada, Malaga, Cadiz, I don't know, Cordoba. It is easy to reach the south of Portugal. This is a photo of a trip that we did with other students. We are more than 200 in Algarve in the south of Portugal. And I think that another advantage of Sevilla is that it is not so expensive. It's way cheaper with respect to Milan, in particular for the rent and but also in everyday, like for the grocery, for the restaurants, is less expensive than Milan, and then with respect to also the Italy in general. Then last year, from September 2022 to February 2023, I spent 7 months at the Technical University of Munich in the Institute of Automotive Technology in order to develop my master thesis. I don't want to go too much deep into the technical part of my master thesis, but I want just to explain you my strategy in order to find a thesis abroad and how I moved in order to find a project. When I came back from Spain in February 2022, I had the idea that I wanted to do a thesis abroad, but in a completely different country with a completely different culture. For this reason, I started to look for a thesis abroad, both in companies and university in the Nordic countries of Europe, like Sweden, Norway, and Germany. I think that I sent more than 50 applications in 3 months from February to May. And I found this thesis at this thesis project at the Institute of Automotive Technology in Munich. That is a research group at the Technical University of Munich. Once I found the thesis, I looked for a professor at Polyme who was available to follow me during the thesis. I mean, the technical part of the thesis, I follow with the technical part of the thesis with my supervisor, that was a PhD student at the University of Munich. And then I did the more formal part of the thesis with the professor at the Politecnico di Milano. I also applied to Borsa di Studio per Tesi all'estero. This is optional, it's not mandatory, but it is an economic help that Politecnico gives to the students that want to do a thesis abroad. Here that I applied for the scholarship for this Borsa di Studio, there were 90 places, so you have to be selected. But I mean, if you want to do a thesis abroad, it is a really good help. Then I want to talk to you a little bit about Munich. During my experience, I found out that Munich is a really safe city, but it's quite expensive. It is really difficult to find an accommodation, way more difficult than Milan. And I spent, I think, 3 or 4 months in order to find an accommodation in Munich, and it was not so easy. And also the rent is more expensive with respect to Milan. The other negative aspect of Munich is the weather. I was in Munich from September to April, and this is the worst period in order to live in Munich, because the winter is dark and cold, and the best months are May, July, and August. The other advantages of Munich, other good aspects, are that it is possible to find a thesis project where you get paid, both in companies and in university, in research centers. There are a lot of good career opportunities. It is quite easy to create a strong network with people that work at the university or in really big companies that are present in Munich. And the other good aspect is that it is quite easy to leave the city without speaking German. There are no many issues in going to the doing grocery and all this stuff without knowing German. I want to do also some final comments. In order to do a thesis abroad, I think that is important to find an abroad supervisor that has time to follow you during the thesis. I mean, the supervisor in my supervisor in Germany helped me a lot during the thesis. We had a weekly meeting and he followed with me, I think, really well. Munich is a city that offers you a lot of opportunities. I said here thesis opportunities, but in general, also if you want to work in Munich, I think that doing a thesis in Munich is a good starting point. I know several students that did the thesis in Germany, in Munich, and then remained there in order to work. And yeah, there are a lot of activities in general. Also for the Erasmus student. I was not an Erasmus student because I was a thesis student, so but there are a lot of events for the student. For example, here there is a photo of the Oktoberfest. If you don't like beer, don't go to Munich because it's like a holy beverage. It is present also in the vending machine at the university. Everybody drinks beer in Munich, but I think in Germany in general. And for example, here there is a photo of our visit to ASDEX, that is the fusion reactor present at the Max Planck Institute of Research in Garching, that is a small city near Munich. And here there is a picture of the Allianz Arena. If you like football, perhaps you know it. The tickets for the sport events are not so expensive, but it is quite impossible to find tickets for important matches like Champions League or stuff like that. And if you have questions, you can write me. I will put my contacts in the chat, and yeah, or you can ask to the organizer, to Elia, Giovanni, and the others from AEA. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. And and Guido, now there is Filippo Ghilotti that did the thesis abroad in Germany, in Stuttgart.
Okay, hi everyone. Try to share the screen now. Can you see the screen?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Hi everyone, thank you for having me here, inviting me here, and thank you also for joining us for these events. Thank you for the introduction. I will repeat, I'm Filippo Ghilotti. I'm actually doing my master thesis in Stuttgart, so I've not finished yet, but I'm doing it right now, and I'm doing it in a company which is called Torc Robotics here in Stuttgart, which is a subsidiary of Daimler Trucks, and basically they are building level 4 autonomy for the trucks. So as you can imagine, is a company that suits well for our master course and all the in all of its parts. So I actually can't go too much in detail, but you can expect to find all the components and and things that can build an autonomy for a vehicle, so trajectory tracking, perception, and so on. In my experience, what I'm doing, I'm actually deep into this dense IC project, which is a publicly funded project, and they basically collect big data set in adversarial weather condition, and then we build deep neural networks upon these data sets in order to do some object detection, depth estimation, backscatter and fog removal, and a lot of interesting stuff. I think if you are interested and would like to work in the automotive field. Basically, as Guido was mentioned, I also did a sort of autonomous application. So I went to some professor, sent emails, and asked to find a thesis abroad, because I wanted to really do this experience of working in a different environment. And I found Torc, but being a company has a very different process with respect to doing a thesis, for example, in a research institute or in another university. So I had to do my interview. This is something you have to keep in mind if you want to apply maybe for a company or something like that. And I had to do like the classical coding interview for the technical skill, and then the behavioral interview, let's say, to evaluate also some soft skill. And after this, I found who would be my supervisor for the thesis. And he proposed me to first do my internship in Torc to get up to pace to how they work and to practice with some of the skills and the things I will need to really work well for my thesis, and then we will move to the actual thesis. The suggestion I wanted to give you with my personal experience that also Guido was mentioning before is that you have to beware when you do a thesis autonomously to not only find a professor in Politecnico that will be able to follow you, but you have to be careful that what you're working for the thesis can be validated and recognized as a thesis, because maybe you start to work to something and you haven't found a professor yet, but then you find a professor and the risk is that what you're working on is not enough for a thesis. So be careful, because I have a lot of friends also working with me that basically after 3 or 4 months working, they found a professor, but obviously was not enough for a thesis, and so they had to start again. So what I plan to do is what I have done is started to look for a professor like 2 or 3 months before starting the actual thesis, but having already a specific object for the thesis, such that you can discuss with the professor and validate what you are going to be working on. As I said, I'm staying in Stuttgart. I'm sorry I don't have some nice photos yet. I've lived there for 3 months at the moment, but working in a company, you can also expect to have a full-time contract. So you have to work 40 hours per week if you're doing an internship. And so maybe you have less time to go around and enjoy the city, but if you can build a good network and find some relations, Stuttgart, for example, is a very lively city. I always say that it's like an Italian city. There are a lot of green areas, a lot of enjoyments and stuff you can see, even though if it was rebuilt after World War II, I guess. So it's not, there are not like maybe in Italy, you go around, you see some nice architectural or archaeological stuff, but there's a lot to see. There's a lot for walking, green areas, and for enjoying and live the city. And being in Germany, you can find a lot of choice in the automotive field. There are a lot of companies with respect to Italy that really do research in all of the field of automotive. And so you can expect to really go deep into this kind of environment, automotive environment, but not only. Also, if you are interested in some part of this field of research, like sensor development and so on, you will really find a lot of opportunities here. The city is a bit expensive, both for what concern rentals and groceries and so on. And here I find it difficult to actually speak English to people in the groceries and so on. There are really few who can speak English, apart from the office, obviously. And they're also sometimes it's difficult to communicate in other ways because they simply repeat themselves in German, but I guess it could be normal. So it's not mandatory to know the language. I don't know German, for example, but at the beginning you will find difficult to interact. For what I can say is my experience in these 3 months. They're really, in Stuttgart at least, they're really against English. And also for what concerns transportation, is a very good city, but I think it's quite common in all Germany to find good transportation and good ways to move around and interact with other people. And that's all for my experience. I was short because I'm in the middle of it, so I can't really tell you some more details about the experience and so on. So if you have any questions, you can contact me. We'll see later in the chat for the question, but I will leave you also my phone in case you want to have a more private conversation, let's say. And thank you very much again for the attention and for having me here.
Okay, thank you. And Filippo, and the next is Marco Lodetti, that do the double degree in Svezia, in Sweden, in Stockholm.
Okay, do you see my screen?
Yes.
Perfect, thank you. So, yeah, hi everyone, my name is Marco, and yes, I've been taking this double degree program at KTH. This year it would be my second year of master at Polyme, but it is actually my first year at the master in KTH. So, for who doesn't know, this is how the double degree program between Polyme and KTH works, because it depends on the program, so it's not always the same, but in my case it is as follows. Basically, I attended my first year, namely 60 CFU at Polyme, and then I moved to Stockholm to take the last 90 credits at KTH. At the end, the program concludes with a thesis project, basically where you prefer. So you could have it with Polyme or KTH, it's really up to you. And the important thing is that you have professors from both university, and then you discuss the thesis at the two places. What you will get at the end is the master in automation and control engineering, of course, and the 5-year master in engineering, specialized in systems, control, and robotics at KTH. So let me show you briefly a few pictures of the university. At the right side, you can see the library, and in the left side, there is like the main building. leading to the main garden of the university. The campus is really nice, and it has this like 18th century vibes, and like it is equipped with many things, many labs, many study rooms, and I would say a lot more facilities than what we are used to at Polyme. Also because there are a lot less students. It's like 10,000 people. Yeah, these are some personal pros and cons about the university. Let's start with the pros. I love the fact that the university is extremely international. So in master classes, you can expect to have 70% of the people coming from really all over the world, and maybe 30 to 40% actually of Swedes, which is really nice because when you have the classes here, which usually like require you to do project courses, this means that you have project with a lot of international guys, and I think it's a really nice thing. So then there is the workload. I would say that it's pretty heavy, a bit less than Polyme, but especially because you have, I would say, less than on average 12 hours per week of classes. So you have a lot of free time to organize as you want, to work on the assignments, which is actually the real thing that you need to bring on to deliver. So what matters here is not just the final exam, which could be really small, but it's more like the assignment that every week you need to deliver, and then they're gonna evaluate you a lot on that. And yeah, so as I said, maybe you spend, I don't know, 30 hours per week on assignments. So it's still heavy, but you can organize them whatever you want in your week. So you have a really good compromise between life and studies. I'm loving the fact that here it's really practical, as I will show you in the next slide. And yeah, as I told you before, a lot of international team working. What I'm like noticing about their way of teaching is that sometimes the lack of rigorous explanations. So maybe they give you, I don't know, some control theory algorithm, but without entering too much into the details. But it's a lot on you to get inside if you want to understand it deeply. But for sure, they will be always available to help you out because there are many teachers for every course. And yeah, when you have assignments, you're not spoon-fed at all, which means that basically they give you the final goals that they expect you to achieve. And then you need to like find your way through it. So you can, of course, ask to them. They will be available, but there are not enough guides sometimes, which could be maybe a bit useful to not waste time. This is a typical, actually not really a typical, it's like the most hands-on course I've taken so far. It consists of this small autonomous vehicle that you can see in the left picture. Basically, me and my team worked on developing this like smart teleoperation feature. So you can see that we had this driving wheel, and with this you can move the car from another environment around like the mapped corridor we had. And then we were merging this like control action with another control action coming from an autonomous algorithm. And so basically setting like a parameter, you could give like more authority to the autonomous driving or to the like teleoperated driving. And on top of this, there was like a safety layer that was preventing the driver to like drive inside obstacles and smartly avoiding like walls or like tough environments. And as you can see from this video, this is me driving the car towards obstacles or like walls. And then as you can see, when you get kind of closer, the car takes over and steers towards the closest environment. Here I was trying to enter the wall, but then the car stopped and now I moved backward, and yeah, it keeps on working this way, basically. Yes, then let's move on. Yes, of course, KTH is not just studying. As I told you before, you have good trade-off between life and personal and studies. So what's really common here is to go to this chapter events. A chapter is basically a small student associations. Each university has more chapters, and each chapter has like a distinguished aspect. For example, as you can see here in the left picture, there are people with this orange trousers. I don't remember the name. They have a name, but I don't remember. And yeah, and you can attach on it all these patches that you can gain with challenges inside university context. So basically, for example, they could organize some pub nights, as the one that you can see in the right picture. And if you can, I don't know, overcome some alcohol-based challenges, you get the patches, and then you can, yeah, just attach them on your trousers, basically. And of course, they don't organize just parties. They also organize trips, for example, in Lapland and to all the closest important cities of the Nordic. So, for example, there is Oslo, there is Copenhagen, there is Helsinki, and a lot more. And yeah, so they do a lot of stuff, really. And for example, every night, each chapter organizes a pub night inside their own environment. And so it's also a good way to get closer to people with similar interests of yours. And yeah, let's now dig inside a bit more in Stockholm. Stockholm, I think it's a really great city. It has literally everything. So I like the people. I think I like, in general, the society and how the city is organized is really well, really full of facilities, and you can move around the city really easily with no problems. And yeah, in the middle, I have this small clip showing a bit one of the most important central places of Stockholm. And yeah, overall, what can I add about it? I think there is a lot to do, but it could be a bit expensive. So it's really important that when you go here, you kind of do things that are more common in Sweden. So don't expect to come here and, for example, take Aperol spritz or like play to tennis and some sports that here could be more expensive. So if you kind of adapt to their lifestyle, it's not that crazy. And I think overall it's kind of similar to Milano, maybe 10% more. So it's kind of okay. And yeah, here you can see some activities that you could do there. In the left side, there are the more spring and summer ones. So there is, of course, hiking, there is going to seasides to have a bath or something. And in the right side, you see ice skating, which is more for, of course, winter season. It's pretty nice because all these like ice skating and skiing trips, you can find them usually for really cheap or even free. And yeah, this is the ones that I've done the most up to now. Also climbing, it's really common and not too expensive. But yeah, I think this is most of what I wanted to tell you. So yeah, if you have some specific questions or actually also general one about Sweden or KTH or in general about the experience, just ask me. And yeah, for me, it's...
Okay, thank you, Marco. And the next is Cristian Gariboldi, then the double degree in China, in Xi'an.
Yes, Xi'an actually. Yeah, I took so much time to learn it. Yeah, it was a mess at the beginning, no worries. Anyway, give me a sec. I need to understand how to share my screen. Okay, can you see? Can you give me a feedback?
Yes.
Cool. Okay, so thanks for the invitation. I'm happy to see that the AEA traditions are still present this year. And I'm Cristian, and I'm doing a double degree program in China, in Xi'an specifically, and I'm doing the double degree in computer science and not in automation engineering. Yeah, in Milan, in Politecnic, I studied automation, but you can have the opportunity to do the double degree in computer science, especially if, like me, you are more interested in focusing more about AI, machine learning, deep learning. You can have the opportunity to focus more on these subjects, and it's accepted by the automation department in Polimi, which is pretty cool. And where is Xi'an actually? I didn't know before coming here, but it's here it's the capital of the Shaanxi province, which is in the center of the country, and it's been a bridge between Asia and Europe for so many years. And indeed, it was the imperial capital of China for a long time, and the population is around 15 million people. It's huge, and it's probably, you probably know the city because of the terracotta army, which is the symbol of the city, and it's mainly known for this reason. But actually, I'm here to tell you the things that you don't know about Xi'an and China in general, because once I came here, I realized that we really know little about this country, and it's very different from what we think about it. So before showing you some pictures about the city, let's talk about life, because if you want to come here and having this experience, you should know about something that can be important for your decision. So first of all, life cost. Life is very cheap here in China, is probably the cheapest life you can have. For example, you can have a room in the campus for 100 euros per month, or you can also have an apartment in the city center for around 200 euro per month. Right now I'm living in a very big apartment and I'm paying like 200 euros. And not only the houses are cheap, but also the food. For example, if you go out for dinner or for a lunch, you can spend something around 15 yuan, which corresponds to €1.50, which is crazy. Also, transportation is very cheap. I strongly suggest not to take metro or bus because, for example, if you take taxi, you can ride for 20 minutes and spend something like €2, which is very convenient. And you can do everything with your mobile phone, because here in China, I go on with some other pictures. Here in China, you can do everything with your smartphone, everything. And especially with one application, which is WeChat, that you can use for payments. You can pay the taxes, the fees for university, the rent, you can pay the electricity, you can pay the restaurants, you can book flights, trains, hotels. You can do everything with just one application. China is very efficient technology-wise, and actually people are cool as well, because there are not so many international people in the city. So every time they see you, they are very curious. And for example, it's very common that they take pictures of you, or they ask for pictures. They really want to know you, where you come from. They ask you for your WeChat so that you can chat and know each other together. And but the thing is that in the city, not so many people can speak English, but it's not a problem in my opinion. I mean, yeah, of course, it would be better. You can get a closer communication if you both speak English. But if you need something, you can always use the translator. And so far, I didn't have so many problems with that. And yeah, Xi'an is a huge city, and there are lots of historical places, modern places, and lots of nature. So this was like a holy mountain, not so far from the city center. And there are also modern stuff like a cool McDonald's, a Chinese cool McDonald's, and other kind of stuff. And now I would like to talk about university, because if you come here for the first 6 months, it's mandatory to live in the campus. Of course, it doesn't mean that you cannot go out. You can always go out to the city and do whatever you want, but you need to rent a room here in the campus for the first 6 months. And the campus is huge, and you can do lots of activities such as playing basketball. Chinese people love basketball. They play basketball a lot, but you can also play football, badminton, tennis. There are lots of gyms, swimming pools. You can play ping pong, of course. In the campus, there are also shops, restaurants. There is a shopping center, barber shops. It's huge. And there are lots of international students and, of course, also Chinese students. And the international students community is very connected and very close because there are lots of issues, of course, coming here to China for the bureaucracy, the documents, and all this kind of stuff. And thanks to the help of other international students, you can solve them very easily. And regarding the lessons instead, okay, this is an important point because, of course, like all the other universities outside of Italy, lessons are more practical. So, for example, the examinations sometimes, most of the times, consist of practical projects. So you have to expect to code a lot. So prepare yourself about coding in Python, C++, MATLAB, ROS. Of course, it depends on the course that you add to your study plan. But the very important point is that during your master here in China, they give you an office and they assign you to a laboratory to do research. Lessons during the master are not so important. The important thing is research. So since you come here, you already have you are assigned to a laboratory, and the topic of the laboratory is based on your cover letter when you apply. In my case, I was assigned to a computer vision laboratory, and they ask you to do research and to do some projects. And some PhD students, professor assistants, and professors follow you in the research. You have weekly meetings where you discuss about your projects, where you discuss about papers, field related. And you have, of course, other colleagues doing research with you. And I think this is a very good thing because this way you can focus more on the things that you're really interested in and not doing the same thing like the bachelor, so study for courses and examinations. But you can really explore a field that you really like and become strong in it. There is also an autonomous driving laboratory which is pretty strong. Yeah, if you want to apply for that, make sure to write in the cover letter. And inside the campus, there is also the Milan building, which is a building built by Politecnic. And this is a joint school between Xi'an Jiaotong University and Politecnic. And here there are lots of Italian professors from Politecnic, which is pretty fun. So you can go out. It happened to go out together with the Italian professors. They teach here some courses in this university. And maybe they stay here for 1 month, then they go away and other professors come. So like you will meet a lot of Italian professors and it's pretty cool. But of course, you will have enough free time to travel because in China traveling is easy. It's very well connected and there are high-speed trains that connect the whole China from one city to another and they are cheap. So you can visit a lot of cities and places. I will go fast here, just showing you some pictures about cities that I visited during my experience. So for example, Beijing, Shanghai, these are cities that you may know already. Then there are other cities like Chongqing, Guangzhou, and also some national parks like Zhangjiajie, where they recorded the movie Avatar, Tiananmen Mountain, and this was the Canyon of China. And of course, you can go to Chengdu and visit pandas, which is the symbol of China, and Guilin. And I want to talk about one last point, because if you come here to China in Xi'an for a double degree program, actually during the third year of your experience, you can choose to do an internship. That's what I decided to do, and I found an internship in Guian. So last September, I relocated here, and Guian is a pretty modern and young city. It's little compared to Xi'an. It's just 6 million people, and it's surrounded by nature, which I love. And especially I'm doing actually my internship in Pix Moving. So we build and we design L4 autonomous robobus that already, these robobus are already active. So they are operating in China. It's not just research. They actually, they are a final product, and some companies buy them. We are already selling them in Japan also, because in Japan now they are building a green garden for transporting old people around the city with this robobus. And I'm doing my master thesis in this company, and both my Chinese and Italian professor are following me in this thesis, because I have to make sure that the company, the Italian university and the Chinese university agree with my final project. And especially I'm working in the path planning department, and I'm building a machine learning approach for generating the trajectory based on imitation learning. And they also develop other kind of vehicles, such as a cleaning vehicle, and this NIV, which will you will see it in Europe, because this company is planning to come to Europe to expand his market. And yeah, an advice I can give you about the internship. Actually, it's not easy to find an internship here in China, because they don't have LinkedIn or the platform that we usually use for finding a job. Here they use their own platforms, which are in Chinese, and definitely they are very difficult to use. And most of the companies require Chinese, because English is not very common. So first thing is try to find international companies. So make sure that they can work and speak English. Second, the network is very important. Here in China especially, the network is very strong. So make sure to build a very deep communication within your lab first, because during the first 6 months you are obliged to stay in the campus. So first you can build your network there with your professor, with your colleagues, because sometimes the professor have some projects with companies. So maybe you can ask them for finding a position or a role in a company, or you can try to get some contacts for companies that you really like. It's not easy, but if you really want it, you probably get it. And that's all for my presentation. If you have questions, I'm here. Feel free to ask. And if you plan to do this experience, you can, of course, ask me privately for some help about documents, what you need to do, and for any kind of advice, just reach me out. Thanks. I don't have a thank you slide, so sorry.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Cristian. And now Gianpaolo Incremona take words, and he's one of the 2 professors of the Committee of International Mobility of CCS, of the Council of Course Study in Automation Engineering.
Yes, do you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sorry, I cannot switch on my camera because I have a bad connection, but I hope that you can easily understand what I would like to say. First of all, thank you for this kind invitation. I believe that this event is quite interesting for all the students, because after the 2 meetings we had to describe all the bureaucracy about the Erasmus project. This is quite useful for all the other stuffs, for instance, accommodation and so on. So basically, I would like to give some few information about the procedure to apply for spending a period abroad. In the chat before, I wrote the link for the call. As you know, maybe there are 2 calls each year, one at the beginning of the year and one in the middle of the year. And you can apply for standard Erasmus, I mean a short period abroad in one of the places in the list of our database in Politecnico, or you can apply for a double degree. I mean, you could decide to spend 2 years more abroad to get 2 titles, one in Politecnico and one in another university abroad. So basically, this second possibility is a bit different with respect to the standard Erasmus, because you need to do 60 credits in Politecnico, and then you can leave to spend the other 2 years abroad. So totally you have to continue for 3 years the master degree. The call is the same for the standard Erasmus, but you can find all the details in the link in the call. What I recommend is that it is very important to read autonomously all the call, all the rules. In particular, you can find the specific rules for the school in this link that now I will write in the chat. Give me 1 second. Okay, this is the link of all the rules to have some suggestion on the selection on the exam. Unfortunately, the PDF file is all in Italian, but it is quite simple. So here in the chat you can find this file that, in my opinion, is very, very important, and I recommend all the students to read very, very carefully this file. So after this preliminary, just some other information about the procedure and the role of myself and Professor Corno, who say hello to you. Unfortunately, today he cannot be present, but if you want, you can write him an email, because we are responsible for different countries. You can find all the information about the countries in the website, in this page that now I can write in the chat. Here you can find all the countries associated to myself and to Professor Corno. So depending on the country, you can write me or Professor Corno. And about our role, we are responsible for the Erasmus, but the main question is in which sense? In the sense that we are responsible only and exclusively for the scientific part of the procedure. I mean that for all the questions related to the bureaucracy, I mean the call, the deadlines, problems or issues with the website for applying of the Politecnico and so on, you need to write to the mobility office. As for the scientific part, we are directly the responsible. In particular, after the call, if you are idoneous for the Erasmus period or for the double degree, you must write a learning agreement. What is the learning agreement? The learning agreement is basically a contract between the students and the Politecnico, where you have to write all the courses that you are going to attend abroad,
and eventually the correspondences with the courses here in Politecnico di Milano. So after the call and only after you are accepted by the university abroad, you should write us in order to understand which are the best exams for you. In particular, the procedure is the following one. I would like to be very precise on this point because in my opinion it's very, very important. First of all, you must autonomously write a list of exams that you are going to attend abroad, looking for the correspondences with the courses in Politecnico di Milano. But this work should be done autonomously. So you must read very, very carefully all the programs, all the contents of the courses abroad, and compare them with the contents of the courses here in Politecnico di Milano. After this procedure, that should be done following the rules that I indicated before in the link. I mean, you should be careful to the credits. The number of credits is very important. You should be you should take into account the type of topics. That's very, very important. It is not sufficient to read the title and then believe that there is a correspondence between two exams. You should enter in the details of the program. All this work should be done autonomously in a first phase. Then you can write us, I mean to me and to Professor Corno, and we will evaluate your selection, your list. If all the rules are fulfilled, then you can fill the online learning agreement in the Servizio Online of Politecnico di Milano, and that's all. You are ready to live and to spend this period abroad. So basically it's very, very simple. What is important is the first phase, which requires this work that should be done very, very carefully, connecting to the website of the universities and downloading all the courses and so on. So I believe that that's all. For all the other stuff such as accommodation and so on, it is not our responsibility, but this event is very, very important also for these kind of things. So thank you for organizing it. And if you have further questions or you would like to ask something more detailed, please write me or to Professor Corno, and we will be very responsive to answer to all your questions. Thank you, and that's all.
Okay, perfect. There is one question in the chat, and I see that.
Yes, Edonius, I mean that you win the challenge. So there is a call. After the call, a list of idoneous students will be published, and then you can write me or Professor Corno to understand how to proceed with the learning agreement. Okay? The evaluation is not done by the responsible of the international mobility. I mean, Professor Corno and me will not evaluate the students during the very first phase. This is the responsibility of the mobility office. After this phase, we will receive the list of the idoneous students and we can proceed with all the stuffs I described before. Okay? So, but the first evaluation is done by the mobility office.
Okay, perfect. I don't see other question for the guys. There is just one that was in the form. So if you guys want to answer, the question was how did you put your preference in the Erasmus call for application, and how you can navigate in the sites of foreign university, reading the course, the period which will be delivered, compatibility. So how you do to understand what was the best country, the best university to put in the call.
It's a question for me.
No, in general, for the guys that's present before, for Pietro, Francesco, Guido, Filippo, Marco, and Cristian, if someone of you want to understand. To respond, sorry.
Yeah, should I go?
Go.
Yes.
So first, I think you need to decide if you want to have a double degree or an Erasmus or Thesis Abroad, because it may change a lot. So if you aim for an Erasmus, when I had to also select Erasmus options, in the case I wasn't selected for double degree, I listed all the places that I lacked the most. So it was more a selection based where I want to have this full, heavy, intense 6-month experience. And I didn't really care too much about university. Whereas for the double degree, since it's longer and at the end you're also getting a certificate, actually a degree. So maybe you care more, you don't care just about the place, but you also care about the university more. So this was my main reasoning to understand how to create this list of possible universities.
I just want to add a comment on my previous presentation, because I saw some questions regarding the language. Yes, in Spain, I mean, in Sevilla, the lessons are in Spanish, and so you have to do a small certification in order to, I mean, that was the rules of 2 years ago, a certification in order to be accepted by the University of Sevilla, and so we had to study a little bit online the language, but I think that I mainly learned it at the university, listening, attending the classes, and talking with other students. So yeah, also be careful on the if you go, like in Spain, it's quite common to have courses in Spanish and not in English, so be aware of this thing. And yeah, that's all. I think that if you want to have some information regarding the website of the university, how to find the detailed programs of the courses, it is the students that did an Erasmus in this university can help you. So if, I don't know, if you want to do an Erasmus in Sevilla, you can write me and you can ask me which is the website, how can I read the detailed program, how can I understand if the classes are the first or the second semester, and all this stuff. I think that the asking us is a good starting point, and then you have to spend some time on the website and write emails to understand how it works.
Okay, and also other guys in general, did you learn any other languages maybe during the university, or you improve your English or improve the local languages in general? Or,
well, I can
the other guys
answer because I didn't say it before, but in my university, actually, you don't have mandatory courses, so you can decide which kind of courses you want to follow. And there are two kinds of courses in Chinese and in English. So of course, you're going to choose the English ones. But actually, during the first semester, it's mandatory to attend a Chinese language course in Xi'an Jiaotong University. So even though the courses you're going to choose are in English, it's mandatory to learn the language, and you need to pass the examination in order to get graduated. But no worries, the Chinese examination is pretty easy. Everybody can pass it, so it's not a big problem. And if you want, after the examination, of course, you can try to go on studying Chinese, but it's a very complex language. I tried at the beginning, but then, of course, also with the internship, I realized I didn't have enough time, and yeah, I just gave up. I will probably regret it, but yeah, I mean, it's a very hard language, so it's a very good challenge. And regarding the university examination, like equivalent for the Polimi to be accepted, actually, I wouldn't worry much about it, because all the universities you can find in the list for Erasmus or double degrees, actually, I think the examinations are perfectly fit with the Polimi ones. So in my case, for example, I could convert so many courses with the Polimi courses without any problems. So if a university is present in the list of Erasmus and double degree, means that the examinations can be easily converted to the Polimi ones, and you can get the CFU without any problems, in most of the cases, of course.
I saw a question in the chat regarding especially Spain. He asked, did you have any difficulties with the lessons and exams when you came back to Polimi? Do you feel that you have some luck compared to your colleagues? I did Erasmus the first semester of the second year, and no, I don't think I had some luck compared to my colleagues. I focused mainly in the experience with respect to the university. So I know that in the international rankings, the University of Sevilla is, I think, not present, and Polimi is one of the best universities in Europe and in the world, but I focused on the experience, so I try to enjoy Spain, to enjoy the culture, to enjoy the city, and to know as many people as possible and all this stuff. So I don't focus so much on the classes, on the exams. I mean, it's important, of course, but I decided to do an experience focused mainly on the Erasmus and not in the lessons. But no, I don't found any lack compared to our colleagues. Also because I did the exams that I follow with are mainly are not compulsory, so they are optional exams, and I decided to do some exams, and so yeah, I don't think this is a problem. They are 6 months in 5 years of university, so not so much differences with the other students.
Okay, I think in general it was an interesting question also for the other guys. If do you feel that have some lack compared with your colleagues, because these are things that usually you hear about the Erasmus, that the Polimi is a very good university instead of others. So if also the other guys want to answer this question, I think it's interesting.
Yeah, I think that are different approaches because the other university, for example, mine, it was very practical because we have to do the assignment, and at the end, the differences are only that during the lessons in Polimi, the exercises are done by the teaching assistant or the supervisor. or by the professor. Instead, in my university, the exercises are done by us, and then if you have questions, there are the teaching assistants that help you. So at the end, the program that we have done in my courses are the same, but only with different approaches. So I think that there are no lack at the end.
Yes, I agree with Francesco. Indeed, I really think that it's very good to experience more kind of approaches during your university journey. So, like Polytechnic is more theoretical, and other universities abroad are more practical. In China, you can do also research. So maybe if you think about doing a PhD, having a research experience during your master can help you out understanding if it's kind of interesting for you. And actually, I also think that the things you learn during your university, it's personal. So it doesn't depend much about the ranking of university. I mean, of course, it's important, but also in Polimi, there are it happens to everybody that some examinations maybe you're not so interested in, and you just study them for passing the exam. And maybe there are some examinations that you really like, and also you try to focus more on that personally and try to deeply understand how algorithms and theoretical stuff works. And in other universities abroad, since maybe you can have a practical insight and you can explore more about other fields that maybe interest you more, and then I think it can really help you a lot trying to understand what you really love doing, studying, and clear your mind about your possible career in which kind of field. So my suggestion is don't focus much about checking the ranking of university, because also how rankings are assigned, I mean, it's not every time so clear. So I think that a fully experienced Erasmus or double degree can be more valuable than just a number or a ranking of a university, and you can learn and know lots of people, professors, so many things. You can also do working experiences like we listened today, and yeah, even though the university maybe has a lower ranking than Polimi, but I think that you can learn a lot by doing another experience and not just remain in Milan and studying things in the same way you did for 5 years. So yeah, my suggestion is don't think too much about that.
Okay, thanks. If also maybe Pietro wants to answer this question, or if there are other questions in the chat, but I think no, so if no one have other question, we can also close this event for today. Is anyone? Okay, no, I think no. So thanks you for being with us. For any information, you can ask directly to the guys who presented today or any AEA member. Now we share with you the contact list. So if you want to screenshot, and also to we registered the event and we will publish, so you can see also from the registration. And we hope today's meeting was useful for you, and we wish you happy holidays, happy Christmas, happy and good luck for the exam, for the session.
I just want to add a comment. If you are interested, like for example, I don't know, in an Erasmus in Paris, just write an email to the organizer. Perhaps we have some contact with students that did an Erasmus in Paris or in India or something like that, and we can tell you the contacts. And so don't be restricted to the cities presented in this event, but also to other, if you are interested in other countries. Thank you a lot for the invitation and for the event.
Yes, in general, it's very useful to talk with people that have this experience. So try to use this event and these people for have information. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you, Giovanni.